We welcome back Mary McPheat, and tonight she's presenting part two, where she's going to take a deeper dive into AI. The first part last spring was an introductory talk, and this one she's going to talk more about how we can use AI in our everyday lives. She is recognized for her strategic acumen in enhancing operational workflows and her ability to harness technology to improve organizational performance. As founder and CEO of Grounded Logic, a firm focused on operational excellence and integration of generative AI. Thank you for joining us again, Mary, and for doing this part two. I hope everybody enjoys it, and I think will you take questions at the end, is that correct?
Yep, absolutely.
So we'll take questions at the end. I've opened up the chat. You can also use Q&A. This is being recorded, and we'll get started. Thank you.
Great. Thanks so much, Jill. And thank you also to all the libraries that are hosting tonight. I appreciate it. And I'm excited to be back. So as Jill mentioned, this session is focused on the consumer angle. So how are you interacting with AI today and tomorrow, and then potentially what that could look like in the future? I always like to level set, and I might have used this last time, but AI can be a polarizing topic. So this is one of my favorite quotes that I kind of like to set the stage with, of open minds. An open mind leaves a chance for someone to drop a worthwhile thought in it. So I know that there's varying opinions on the advancements in technology and artificial intelligence. And this is really just to share where the advancements have gone, are going, and the possibilities of what's out there. So I just encourage everyone to kind of sit back, enjoy the ride, and kind of embrace it with an open mind. So we have all used artificial intelligence before 2022. According to Merriam-Webster, I'll give you the actual definition. Artificial intelligence is the ability of a machine to mimic intelligent human behavior. AI specifically is a branch of computer science that focuses on creating computer systems capable of simulating human-like behavior. I mentioned this, and I mentioned 2022, because in 2022, AI took a significant leap forward with the release of ChatGPT, which arguably has become synonymous with the term AI itself. But the reality is, AI has been around for over 70 years. And we talked a bit about that the history of that last time. Now, you may be thinking two things as I was pulling this together tonight. I'm like, this is probably where we'll start. You're probably thinking, what do you mean I've already used AI, Mary? And then also telling me I already used AI is a strange way to start a webinar on how I can or will use AI. So I'll address those one at a time. First, yes, you've all already used AI. So for example, when you're shopping on Amazon and see other shoppers like these products suggestions, which leads you to 5 more products in your cart, another 30 minutes spent browsing, and probably an extra 150 spent when you didn't intend to. Or when you finished a series on Netflix and you're feeling a little lost as to what to watch next, and then Netflix comes up with a recommendation of something that's right up your alley. Or, speaking from experience, when your 8-year-old asks what spider makes the biggest web in the world, and grasping for an answer, you say, Siri, what spider makes the biggest web? Oh, now everything's talking to me because I said the magical word. For those wondering, it's the Darwin spark spider, but we'll get to that. And then lastly, if you were to say get into your car on a Saturday morning and your phone unprompted tells you it's 8 minutes to the soccer field, recognizing your pattern of driving there every weekend. So all of these examples that I just used are algorithms that leverage algorithms that analyze data to predict something. So what product you might need, what show you might enjoy, answering a random question through voice interaction, or calculating how long it'll take to reach a familiar destination. These are just a few examples of how AI has quietly integrated into our daily lives, mimicking human behavior and making predictions. So why start here? I start here because AI is an expansive and broad term. The recent advancements in the past 3 to 5 years have made this term far more mainstream. The AI that we've all been using, driven by technology labeled as machine learning or deep learning, are really recommendation engines, voice assistants, and predictive navigation, is just one aspect of the vast world of artificial intelligence. In the past 3 to 5 years, as I mentioned, we've experienced a leap into what is known as generative AI, which is ultimately a subset of deep learning. So generative AI is where machines aren't just predicting and serving up data, like our Amazon or our Netflix recommendations, but predicting and creating net new output, such as text, image, video, audio, and music. This leap is the culmination of advancements in computing power, the explosion of digital data and an immense amount of it, and the ease of accessing it, and the structure of the code of these systems, often referred to as LLMs or large language models. So what we're about to explore today is how this new wave of generative AI, systems like ChatGPT, but not exclusively ChatGPT, can be used to enhance your day-to-day tasks and also explore some futuristic potential use cases. Before I dive in, I'm going to go over just some light terminology. So if I tend to rattle these off quickly, like everyone knows them, I wanted to give you a little backdrop first. So when I say them coming up, you'll know what I'm talking about. So prompt is what you are actually giving these systems. So it's what you're asking the AI to do. It's called your prompt. A refined prompt is the addition of information or the alteration to the original prompt, typically adding more information or context in order for it to give you closer to what you're looking for an output. Synthetic data is the actual output of the system. So whatever these systems are created, whatever they create, they call synthetic data. LLM, as I mentioned, is shorthand for large language model. And then similarly, ChatGPT, GPT, that stands for generative pre-trained transformer. Hallucination is a really, really important one, and one I'll stress throughout, and one when we get to the safe and responsible use, you're really going to want to be aware of. Hallucinations is basically incorrect information, or like lies or mistakes, which are made up by these models in their response to you. So we can't take 100% what comes out of these as gospel, and we need to be aware of that and be sensitive to it. The leaders in this space, their goal is to minimize hallucinations as much as possible, but you need to be aware and know that they exist. And then multimodal is really where all these systems are headed towards and currently are. They're adding in different modalities. So these are considered systems that you can interact with, either input or output, in different modalities. So text, image, video, audio, etc. All right, so let's dive into the fun stuff. So I know I just spent, the first 12 minutes telling you that, generative AI didn't just exactly mean ChatGPT, but that is the first system that I will dive into, just to show you some examples. So multimodal LLMs, ChatGPT is one of the most well-known and leaders in the space, and they're the owner of that company, or the name of that company is OpenAI. Similarly, the other leaders, and these are closed source, this doesn't take into account open source models, Claude by Anthropic, and also Gemini by Google. These are the most powerful multimodal LLMs that are out there today. So the two things I always say about these multimodal models is, one, to try them on anything and try them on everything. And it's not exactly helpful when you're trying to come up with ideas. It's hard to understand how to come up with ideas on how to use them. So saying try them on everything is kind of like a blanket. I don't know. I don't want it to come off as a cop-out. But the reality is, as you get into using these, and I'll show you some examples on how to use them, just get in that mindset of experimentation and AI first. AI first meaning when you have a task at hand, try it first with these models and see what it can do. You may find that it fails miserably, or you may find that it surprises you and you can actually use it to help you in your day-to-day. So a couple great examples that I've seen and done myself throughout in your day-to-day. I'm going to go ahead and actually switch my screen to ChatGPT. And I'm going to start with just some basic things. So at the top of that list that I just showed you was generation. So generating content. I'm going to drop a prompt in here. These are all just canned prompts I use as the breadth of examples. And it says, hi, I'm trying to recruit people to play soccer, pick up soccer with me on the weekends. Can you write a professional social post, seeing if anyone would be interested? So I'm going to go ahead and send that. It immediately drafts based on what I asked for, a post to give back to me. So looking for weekend soccer players, 2 paragraphs, and you can read the details there. Now, one thing that I'm going to do here is to show you is like a rewrite of that. So that's great, but the reality is it's not going to, until it like learns you and understands you, or you give it the appropriate feedback, it's not going to get where you want it to be. Like you still want it to sound like you. So if you're using it to generate a social post, you have a great foundation. Oftentimes it's easier to react to rather than start fresh. So you have a great place to start, but now I'm going to go ahead and tell it to redo it. It's too long for me. I don't usually write that long, and can you make it a little more casual? So it's great on changing voice and tone. You can do really dramatic, funny things of changing it to like a pirate's voice and tone just to show you how much it addresses it. But that re-prompt and that additional information that you give it is going to then, it's going to take that in and address it. So lesson being and point being, the more context and information and background that you can give it, the closer you'll get to your output. So another example, and this is still in the social media realm. Say you want to make a post in my Facebook group about how people leave their trash cans out far too long after pickup. Can you help me make it sound nicer and hopefully encourage people to bring them instead of angering them? So say you write something and it just doesn't sound, it sounds, like you've written that email. We all know we step away from the email after a second. Give it 30 minutes, reread it, print it, take it in the other room, reread it again. ChatGPT can help you tailor, draft, refine, just come up with those terms that streamline whatever direction you want to give it. It can help you address that. I will send you the post. Okay. So I'm saying this is what I want it to do. I've told it what platform it's on, what the problem is, and now I'm going to give it this post. Super passive aggressive post. Posted about this before. It still continues. We look like a dumpster yard when everyone's trash cans are out. 2 to 3 days past when it's actually a trash day. So I'm going to go ahead and send that. It knows what it's supposed to do. And it's going to go ahead and rewrite it. So I definitely use this a lot for rewriting social posts, emails. It's not you can certainly do net new, but it's also if you get your original thoughts out, then you can, go ahead and just have it refine it. The next example I'm going to give you, which is very interesting, and I find this fun, is recipes. So oftentimes you might have, a couple different examples in your fridge of like 3 ingredients that you have. What am I possibly going to make with that? So I'm saying I have chicken, tomatoes, and basil in my fridge. What can I make for dinner? So it's going to go ahead and tell me what I can make, give me instructions on how to make it using those ingredients. So next, if I say, that's amazing, thank you. I'm trying to adhere to the Whole30 diet. Here are some details. Can you adjust the recipe? Oops. So good. So it's going to go ahead, read the link I sent it, understand what Whole30 is, probably already has the knowledge in there. And it's going to give me a new recipe. Just for understanding, I'm going to ask it, can you let me know what changes you made? And now it can highlight exactly what it changed. It removed the mozzarella since dairy isn't allowed. Also, I specified using compliant, Whole30 compliant balsamic vinegar. So it can really dive into the details down at a really deep level. The last thing I'll show you is just looking at that system of how we went through using it. Here are some recipes. Here's what I want you to adhere to. What we could have done in a more efficient way of using this is combining it all into the upfront information that you give it. So the prompt versus the adjusted prompt. So in this prompt, for example, I call out the ingredients. I immediately tell them that I'm trying to adhere to the Whole30 diet. I give them the link for reference, and then you ask what I can make for dinner. So I only just show that as an example. As you get into using these systems, know that the more context you give it and the more detail you give it, the better the output. Another great example that I've seen people use it for in their day-to-day lives is travel. So I had a good friend of mine that went to Spain, and she put a quick prompt in, said, I'm going to Spain. I'm looking for an itinerary, 3-day itinerary around historical sites and like great cultural food. She sent it, and they took the itinerary and followed it basically to a T, and she said she was very happy with it. So I just threw in a quick prompt. I'm going to Montpelier, Vermont for 3 days. Can you plan a trip that includes great microbrews? So what you will see, and depending on the model you're on, it has updated the memory. So it keeps a history, and that's so it can go back and draw on stuff and learn as it goes. So it drafted this 3-day trip for me. Day 1, arrival and exploration. In the morning, lunch, afternoon, gives me actual places where I can go and eat. Where I can start my day visiting the State House, which is a great stop if you're in Montpelier, Vermont. 3-penny tap room, excellent beers. They are correct. Local favorite known for its extensive craft beer selection. And then it gives me day 2, all focused around what I asked it to do. And you can easily reprompt it, add additional information. We're actually there for 5 days, or maybe you have young children and you want it to actually include children activities as well. So a great idea to at least get an initial plan down, and fun to come up with ideas for travel. The other aspect of our lives, I'm sure we're all trying to come up with creative ways, but fitness. So propose ways to get the whole family moving, whether it's playing soccer, going family bike rides, or setting up some obstacle courses for the kids. As you'll see, it just immediately cranks out all these ideas. And then if you do need to, adjust it, you can say things like the season or the age of your children, and all of that will rebuild it all with those parameters in mind. The next thing I'm going to show you, just thinking back to that initial screen we saw, multimodal, we're going down, generation, rewrite, write, is extraction. So I'm going to pull up this PDF to share with you. And I'm just going to give you just a quick view of what I'm about to upload. So I downloaded this. It's from Vermont. It's just activities with your kids. It's a PowerPoint of like places to go, things you can do with them in Vermont. It's short. It's sweet. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually take that PDF and drop it right into the chat window. And I'm going to say, can you read the attached PDF and make 2 lists? Activities I can do with a child under 5 and activities I can do with children over 5. And it goes through that PDF, and then it categorizes them, extracts the data, classifies them, and it actually even provides some backup, like reasoning behind it. Older children can handle longer snowshoeing trips. That's why they've classified it down here. Now, I use this example with children just because of an everyday example, but think of all the PDFs and the documents that you come across in your day-to-day. When you're doing research, it might even be in your profession, or maybe you have a white paper on microbreweries or wherever the content's coming from, you can drop it in and then interact with it in that manner. So those ChatGPT is absolutely amazing. Claude is great too from Anthropic, and so is Gemini. They're all really strong, and also even dropping pictures in them. Sometimes I even take pictures of bugs or stuff around and ask it to give me information about it. So, and that's that multimodality feature. So ChatGPT is a great place to play with, and it can help you in just about everything that you do. Good for questioning answer too, but I will jump to the next one, that the answer engine. So another way that you can interact with, and I'm sure all of us have Googled something before and talk about synonymous. Google has really become the term for search over the years. So we're going to use this as an example of what spider makes the biggest web. Again. So I'm going to give you the two examples. So the traditional search experience is you go to Google, you put that in, what spider makes the biggest web, and then you get served back a bunch of links. And now it's up to the user to click through the links they've obviously served or recommended to you, the top ones that they think will be most beneficial. But they don't go beyond that. It's a dumping ground of links. So now you're going through and you're like clicking and you're reading and you're understanding, and maybe one says this spider, but one says another spider, or whatever the case is that you're searching. And then you're doing all that manual effort and understanding and research, and then coming to a conclusion or an answer. What the world is evolving to, and I'll show you perplexity.ai, and then Google Overview does it as well, is this idea of an answer experience. So you take the question, you put it into these systems, and I'll show them to you, and what's given back to you is actually the answer generated. So I'm going to share. Perplexity. So this is perplexity.ai, and they are arguably probably giving Google, I want to say, a run for their money, but we all know how big Google is. So I can go ahead and what spider, and this can be anything. Maybe you're researching, the best way to fix your sink or your faucet or a leaky faucet. You go ahead and stick it in, and what's going to come back is essentially the answer. And what it's going to serve you up are all these prompts as resources. So it's referencing them. So it's saying, here's the answer, and here's all the information that we referenced and used to develop that answer. So you can start to say, here's my answer, and here's how I know it's true, because I'm referencing all these. They have images uploaded over here of that. Again, sources across the top. And then what you'll typically see is right below is related. What other questions might you have now? You have all this new information. Where could you take it? So that's Perplexity. It's great from a resource standpoint. They've actually been doing a lot of push with higher ed institutions lately, and they are definitely challenging the bounds in that regard. So I'm going to go ahead and take, I'm just going to show you Google, and you all might have seen Google already. Hold on, let me just copy and paste this. You might have started to see this showing up in your Google searches already, and maybe you just didn't know what it was, or maybe you're already familiar with it, but I'll show you Google. So if we put the same thing in Google, what you have up here is a similar thing. So Search Labs AI Overview, and it has the links to the reference. What I will say is they've had a tough time. They've gotten a lot of flack for rolling this out and having it not be as good as it can be. From a quality standpoint, Perplexity is definitely leading the group. Like you can even see here, this doesn't even answer which one has the biggest. It gives me spiders that make big webs. So arguably it's not even really the answer. But if you're seeing this in your experience now, that's what it is. It's generating the answer and pulling up links for you as well. So basically what you'll see is all of this is going away. That that time spent of researching and understanding. And it's almost reversing it, maybe not going away, it's reversing it. So it's giving you the answer, and then if you want to dive deeper after that, you can. The next example I'll show you is generative audio. And there we go. So I don't know about you guys, but I consume an immense amount of information daily in all formats. So at one point I have 2 books going, one in audio, one in paperback, because I'll never know when I have downtime. So if it's driving, it's downtime, I'm listening to my audiobook, and if I'm sitting on my deck, it's my paper book. So this is very helpful to me, the app that they came out with. And also just thinking through the experience of, have you ever had someone send you a link to read, but you're on the go and you don't have time to read it? So you save it for later, which at best case, you go back and read it later. And at worst case, you have no idea where you saved it. Or maybe you get the link they sent and you're pumped because when you click into it, you saw that the publisher actually has the option to listen to the article via audio. So you can listen to it straight away while you're on the go. So what 11 Lab does is they're actually known for reliable audio from written text. And they allow people to clone their voice and then create output, which I'll play you an example of that in general. I don't think people are gonna go clone their voice and just make a bunch of output, but just to give you context of 11 Labs as a company. They also can translate to different languages, which is interesting for lowering the communication barriers. And then ultimately what I want to share from you from a consumer-facing, time-saving app is their latest app that they rolled out, which is one of my favorites. So I'm going to start and tell me, I guess, Jill, if you can tell me if you can hear the sound or not. AI has technically been a part of our
Yes.
lives for years, from voice assistants to recommendation engines. Now it's advancing rapidly and being implemented in new and exciting ways, transforming how we live, work, and interact as consumers. Let's explore these changes and what's coming next. So that's an example of a voice clone. That's not me. That is text that I put into the system after I cloned it on my voice. So I'm sure, I know we just met, but I'm sure you can tell it sounds an awful lot like me. You can probably pick up on some nuances that aren't exact, but it is very strong, and 11 Labs is leading the industry in that space. So I'm going to play a short intro. Oops. Which I'm going to have to switch screens for, just to show you what this app is all about.
Ever find yourself distracted by your phone?
Just send you over the link. If it's a read when you're done writing.
It's all good. I can listen to it now. In financial news today, global markets continue to soar. The world is large.
Ideas are the beginning points of all fortunes. Everything you need to know about mindfulness and living your life in a way that reflects
An introduction to organic chemistry and bioengineering.
thought fell. What is the use of a statue?
Today you're going to sign the young recipient.
Dash of lemon and 2 tablespoons of Greek honey.
News on California coast.
Computer Science 101.
Now you can spend less time scrolling and more time listening to our high-quality AI voices. Your life narrated.
Such is a preview that they put out as the app. And I will tell you, oftentimes you see those product videos are always glorious and glamorous. So what I did was just take a quick video myself of me using it, because as I said, I do use it quite a bit. So I'm going to see if I can play it right in line here. So this is an article, and right in your browser, I click the share button, select the 11 Labs Reader app. It immediately imports it. Give it a second.
This image made from a NASA live stream shows NASA astronauts Suni Williams and Butch Wilmore.
And then it immediately starts to read it. So links that you find, if you're on the go, you can import it into 11 Labs. Again, I use this an immense amount. So hopefully you guys find it helpful as well. The next thing that you will see, and this is just more of a blanket, is social media. So Meta AI has launched their Meta, like their Llama is what they call their model. It is open source, but they have added it and integrated it into Facebook. So I don't know if you've seen it yet, but it is in there as a question answer, almost a large language model embedded in the Facebook experience. You can actually chat with it through message. So I'm going to switch and just show you a quick intro video on that.
Design a training program so that I can run a marathon.
Can I see with a telescope from Cedar Lake?
Summarize this.
How do I plan this?
What are you gonna get?
Well, I need some help.
What is this? Guys, let's do some trivia. Oh, yes, let's do that.
Imagine a treehouse in
A big oak tree with a porch and a ladder.
Imagine Little Italy in 1851. Hey, man. Look at these elephants made. Next question. It starts with an empty prompt.
Oh, there it is.
Wow, it's amazing.
That takes you as far as you want to go. Using the most advanced AI whenever you need it.
So if you haven't seen already, it is integrated into Facebook, and we're actually seeing a lot of
My home cross was
oops,
tough,
sorry.
but Agent Jones just got our neat.
What was that? And I'm going to show you one more while I'm in the video space. And this is going to be the integration of it into Instagram. So Instagram is launching the ability to make characters, which you can then either interact with it as a consumer or a user by asking it questions. It's going to be trained on all the data that Instagram account has posted. So instead of reaching out to like a company or an influencer, you can interact with their AI character. And then vice versa as well. If you're in a position where maybe you're a thought leader on certain things, or you are an influencer in the space, you can create your own AI character that then allows people to interact with it. So I'm going to play this. This is him introducing it as the president of Instagram.
We're rolling out 2 ways for you to actually create an AI on Instagram. Creator AIs and AI characters. Now, creator AIs are an option for creators to create an extension of themselves that is customized based on everything that they've shared to Instagram and any other customizations they want to do. For instance, you can tell what topics you don't want to talk about. And you can put this on your profile, and it's a way to reach more people. I answer a lot of the same questions over and over about how verification works, how ranking works, how Instagram works. And this can be a way for anybody to go to my profile and message with that AI and get answers to their questions without having to go through all of my old videos. The second is not just for creators, it's for anybody who wants to make an AI. And these are AI characters, and you can give them any personality that you want. Hopefully they can entertain and inspire, and you can put those in your profile too. Now let me know down below in the comments what you think.
So whether you're on either end of that, it's likely that from a consumer standpoint, it'll definitely be impacting us. So I'm going to switch back to the presentation and one more social media example. So the last one is LinkedIn, and that's just for an example. This is rewrite with AI. You need to have a certain level of account access, but again, starting to integrate it into our daily lives and our daily experiences to help streamline and to help write. So if you were to write a thought, and then you could click that button and it'll help you rewrite it. So multimodal capabilities, and you're starting to see integrated in software throughout. The other place that you might run into this is in your healthcare experience, as far as generative AI goes. So a bridge is an AI-powered platform that was purpose-built for medical conversations, improving clinical documentation efficiencies while enabling clinicians to focus on what matters most, which is the patient. This capability supports 14 languages, 50 plus specialties, and it's able to support a wide range of clinician and patient encounters. So what it does is it's AI-driven medical note-taking capabilities. And the reason it seems one of those futuristic things, but the reality is that there are currently deals in place, and it's either in place or in the process of being deployed to use this technology in some large prominent health systems, such as the University of Vermont Health System, U Chicago Medicine, Sutter Health, our very own Yale New Haven Health System, UCI Health, Emory Health, the University of Kansas Health System, just to name a few, and dozens of other health systems. So what it does is it will record the conversation with consent of the patient. It will record the conversation between the patient and the physician, and then it'll actually transcribe them and put them in structured, organized, note-taking, based on the typical adherence and structure that a physician would do it. The physician reviews them and then ultimately approves them. So while it might not necessarily save you time in your day-to-day, you as a consumer might experience this when you go to your healthcare provider, and ultimately you'll probably get notes in your file faster, and then it helps alleviate the effort on the physician side as well. These are interesting. I don't know if anyone's ever seen them, but we're in the world of wearables, and Meta partnered with Ray-Ban, and they actually created these glasses that you can go ahead and go online and purchase today. I believe they're in the $300 range. And they have glasses, they have actually cameras on them, and they are integrating Meta AI. So then you can start to even interact with it. So I'll show you a quick video just so you can help ground yourself. And again, it's a little product launchy, but it's a fun summary.
Listen to music without viewing the world around you. Live stream your creations from your POV. Take calls without interrupting your flow. Capture your unique perspective in an instant, straight from your glasses. The next generation of smart glasses by Ray-Ban and Meta.
So these are out, they're mainstream, you can buy them. And they did announce that they are integrating Meta AI into it, and the ability to actually ask the glasses questions. So think if you're in a foreign country and you're looking at a menu and you can't read it, you can ask, hit the trigger button, you can ask it, what does the menu say? What would I like on these? What's that picture supposed to be? Take a picture, take a video, answer a phone call, hands-free. So pretty wild to think about. And if anyone has them, I would love to hear how they go. They are, I don't know, they've excited me and I've considered dabbling. But also kind of scared me a bit. So the next thing, and this is if you are a Galaxy owner or Android, then you are probably experiencing these features now, whether you know about them or not, or you will in the near future. So the Galaxy S24 has launched with a couple new AI features. So live translations, and I'm going to pull these up. Live translations. Oops.
When you make
Live translations, text translations, and then circle search. So I'm going to go ahead. The most impressive, I think, is the live translation ones. So I'm going to show you that one, and then I'm going to do a quick time check and see if I can show you the other ones, or we can send the links out later.
Or receive a call in a language you don't speak, the Galaxy S24 series can provide live translations of your call, both verbally and on screen, right away.
Hola, esta llamada se está traduciendo y subtitular de forma simultánea.
Hello? Can I make a reservation for tomorrow at 7 p.m.?
Hola, ¿puedo hacer una reserva para mañana a las 7 de la noche?
Por supuesto. ¿Para cuántas personas? Of course. For how many people?
Table for 2, please.
Mesa para dos, por favor.
¿A nombre de quién? Under whose name?
Harrison.
Harrison.
Gracias. Nos vemos mañana a las 7 de la tarde. Thank you. See you tomorrow at 7 p.m.
So that capability is available on the Galaxy S24. And as you can see, it would be extremely useful if you're traveling or lower communication barriers, or even just local as well, if you need to help with communication in a different language. They have a couple other features. I have about 14 minutes left and I have some futuristic stuff that I'll get to, but we can send out these links after as well. Text translation is similar to live. It actually shows up right in your text message. So if it detects a different language, you can translate right in line. And then circle search actually allows you to, in images or stuff on the web, you can just draw your circle around what you like and it'll search for it and find it and give you search results based on what you're looking to search. Pixel 9 phones are going to come out with Gemini as the default assistant, Gemini Live, and then also up here are their Pixel Buds Pro 2, which are also going to work with Gemini Live. So I'm just going to give you a brief sample of what this isn't Gemini Live.
I use the Respatify.
It's not Gemini Live. It's ChatGPT's version of that, but I'm just going to show you where it's headed as far as the voice assistant. And when we think of Siri and Alexa and things like that, the capabilities are really coming out strong.
So I'm taking out a photo. If you are wondering about this wire, so we have consistent internet. And if you see, there's this little icon on the bottom right of the ChatGPT app, and this will open up GPT-4o's audio capabilities. Hey, ChatGPT, I'm Mark. How are you?
Oh, Mark. I'm doing great. Thanks for asking. How about you?
Hey, so I'm on stage right now. I'm doing a live demo, and frankly, I'm feeling a little bit nervous. Can you help me calm my nerves a little bit?
Oh, you're doing a live demo right now? That's awesome. Just take a deep breath. And remember, you're the expert.
I like that suggestion. Let me try a couple deep breaths.
So I won't keep going, but you get the sense, and then you can hear how clear the voice is, how articulate it is, and then you're starting to see the GPT characteristics and the capabilities come right into your chat. So that again isn't the Google Live, but I was just giving an example of what it is like. Gemini or the Gemini Live is, I don't want to say comparable because I think ChatGPT is probably better, but it's similar for sure. They've actually have OpenAI or ChatGPT, who made ChatGPT, put I don't know if I want to call it a warning, but they put out a sentiment of like, be careful because it's so lifelike that they don't want people to start to form relationships with it. So the last example that I think will start as of today, probably already happening, you may or may not even know it, is interaction from a customer service standpoint. So Klarna is a payment processing company. They process huge payments for like Google and Macy's and stuff like that, or payments for huge vendors like Google, like Macy's and Nike. They've built it on ChatGPT, and it's basically a customer service bot that's available in 23 markets. It's available 24/7 and in 35 languages. They had huge impact with implementing this and rolling it out. They've dropped issue resolution from 11 minutes to 2 minutes, and then accuracy has dropped the repeat inquiries. So great accuracy has dropped the repeat inquiries by 25%. So 25% less people are coming back. So what you may start to find, and I know that we've all interacted with chatbots in the past, and they've been excruciating experiences sometimes when you can only pick the answers they want you to pick. Now they're taking that knowledge and that capability in the large language model. They're training it on the the business specific information. And so now when you interact with it, it's going to be a lot more useful and helpful. So you'll likely see that if you haven't already with some of the services that you interact with. And just to close on the current, this is just today, but everyone is really integrating with using AI. It's the advancement in the technology. Again, AI is a whole world of technologies, but the recent advancements have opened up the doors for crazy capabilities, and all of the individual, businesses and consumer services and interactions are all finding their space and how they can add value on top of these large language models. So now with 12 minutes left, let's talk a little bit about tomorrow and beyond. So these examples are ones that I'll be showing you that either exist today, but consumers may not necessarily see them, meaning they're in market, but perhaps not on a broad scale, or that it's in proof of concept and it may take a couple years to give you a sense of where things are going. So good old Apple, I felt sad putting this one here, but Apple Intelligence. So we have our capabilities on our Android and our Samsung and our Galaxy phones. Apple Intelligence will be introducing, or Apple will be introducing their Apple Intelligence. And the thought is that it is this coming October. It'll only work on certain hardware, which I've outlined there. And what it will do is similar to what you just saw, some of those new capabilities in the Google products as well. So the categories are really of features are really in writing, images, and with Siri. So new features that'll be rolling out in Apple Intelligence from a writing standpoint is going to be AI suggested writing tools that pop up pretty much anywhere you can write in documents or emails. From an image standpoint, they'll let you create original images based on prompts. They'll also give you the capability for photo tools, including cleanup to remove unwanted parts of an image. So you start to get that generative AI image editing capability right on your phone. You can also make custom memory movies based on prompts or descriptions that you give it. So it's not just the canned out of the box ones that you get. They say you'll be able to turn rough sketches into related images, again, using that image generation. And then some other seemingly just fun things with Genmoji. They'll say that you even have the option to pick someone from your photos and create an emoji that looks like them. So question some of it will be useful, some of it will be experiential, and that's really, I think, what they were going for. And then lastly, Siri. So Apple Intelligence is going to give Siri an awareness of personal context, so the ability to take action in and across your apps on your phone. So it'll give, basically, if I ask it a question, it'll have the ability to access, what I have the ability to access is the different apps on my phone and answer questions for you. And hopefully the sentiment is they might be caught a little flat-footed, but we'll see. Hopefully they pick up. These are a little interesting, but back to the wearables. And these are current. Like you can buy some of these now, some you can't. But again, everyone's trying to figure out what that next version is of the phone. Like our phone has turned into our camera. It's turned into, our computer. We do so much on it. And these companies and these products have tried to launch different ideas, such as the humane pin. So you can see that in this top right, and it's like an always on pin where you can interact with it. If you put your hand down, it projects on your hand, and then you can do hand gestures to interact with the controls. There's this one over here, ironically, which is called Friend. And they position it as someone that is like your friend that comes along with you and goes on hikes with you and is there to keep you company. And that involves like a text interaction. And then these last two are from Plowd. And this bottom one right here is actually live now. It's available now. And it can go on the back of your phone and it helps you with transcription of conversations, summary of notes. And it's more of an efficiency tool with your day-to-day conversations and what your follow-ups are. And then what they are looking to drop and launch coming soon is this idea over here of this pendant that you wear around your neck to similarly do the same thing, capture the world around you. Driverless cars, and I know we've heard of them and we've talked about them, but the reality is they're here. They're not here in Connecticut, but they are live. They are on the streets. Waymo, Tesla, Cruise. They are in Phoenix, Arizona. They're in San Francisco. They're in LA. People are actually using them and driving in them. And it's not like a futuristic thing. So it's only a matter of time, I think, that it starts to, expand potentially to the East Coast. But it is interesting and crazy to think that it's like active. And you might go to the airport and get picked up by a Waymo, or if you rent a car and the Waymo shows up just to give you, and then you take it and you take control over it, or you let it drive you around. Either one. I recently traveled to an AI conference and I got all excited because I was in Cleveland and I looked up Waymo because I was looking to take it for a spin. And unfortunately, they're not in Cleveland yet, but they're alive, they're present, and I think it might be tough over here just because of the conditions and the weather in the winter, but they are being used. So from a futuristic standpoint from healthcare, one story that stood out to me that I think is huge for the potential and is Color Health and OpenAI are partnering. And what they're really doing is they developed a custom co-pilot that aids in the development of custom cancer treatments. So, hopefully none of us do interact with this, but in the future, if there happens to be a situation where it's needed, then what happens is this co-pilot they've created is trained up on all of the person's personal medical records, and it's trained up on all the documented research that we know about the particular cancer treatment, and it works up a custom treatment plan that'll then go to the physician for review and approval. So they say, the stat they referenced is that even if your treatments are delayed by just 4 weeks, that it faces a 16 to 13% higher risk of mortality. So something like this and this technology that they're trying in the cancer space is actually, it allows you to expedite drafting of that treatment plan to really replace and expedite a process that sometimes take upwards of 2 weeks if physicians are to do it on their own. So really potential to drive a huge impact in this space, and then just thinking of how that can translate and where else that can go. From the education space, this is again live in present, but probably not widely adopted. It's in early stages. They're actually a startup, and they might be on Series B now, but they've done Series A financing. Their goal, LO, is to eradicate childhood illiteracy by leveraging artificial intelligence and child speech recognition technology. So how it works is you sign your child up, you download the app, they'll send you subscription books each month, and your child can read this speech recognition technology, and then the actual app will give coaching back based on what they're listening to and what they're hearing. So again, it's not by any means widely adopted, but it is accessible, and people are using it. So it'll be interesting to see how successful it is. It also brings in the idea and the concept that, similar to what we just talked about in the healthcare space, but it allows you to have a custom tailored, minutia plan for individuals, but at scale. And then lastly, my and beyond. So Figure and Unitree are just 2 examples of humanoid robotics. And I have a quick video I'll show you here, but this is my fun depiction of basically like the iRoomba, the robot vacuum meets Rosie. And it's funny to think back to the Jetsons and start to wonder, maybe they weren't that crazy after all. So I'm going to show you a brief interaction with a humanoid robot. It's made by Figure, and it's driven by OpenAI. And just getting through the ad right now. And what I will say is there are ones that are developed and designed for in-home use. These specifically, Figure tends to go the manufacturing route. So they have a pilot program with BMW right now, and they have these humanoid robots actually in BMW plants. But I'll show you just a quick example.
Hey, Figure 1, what do you see right now?
I see a red apple on a plate in the center of the table, a drying rack with cups and a plate, and you standing nearby with your hand on the table.
Great, can I have something to eat?
Sure thing.
Great. Can you explain why you did what you just did while you pick up this trash?
On it. So I gave you the apple because it's the only edible item I could provide you with from the table.
Great. So, based on this,
So I'm going to stop there just in the
where do you think
interest of time. But a couple interesting things about that is you see decision making, reasoning, multitasking. So all capabilities that are powered by generative AI. And then lastly, I was telling Jill before we started, I can't do a session without a quick call on safe and responsible use. Diving into these systems and learning and educating is great. Sorry. But always be mindful of that you're not entering PII or any confidential information. Again, like what we said, be vigilant regarding hallucinations. Be cognizant of the fact that bias is in these systems. So it's trained on all the information that's in our world today. So the reality is that there is inherently bias in our world today. And so that manifests itself throughout these systems as well. So keep that in mind as you use them. And then at the end of the day, just don't solely rely on generative AI and maintain the human presence for really, top-notch quality output. So I know we're just at time. If there are